hit.
That's in the air to right. That's pretty deep. That ball is gone. Daniel Murphy has struck again.
And we welcome you back to Citi Field. Game 2 goes to the New York Mets. Harvey in Game 1. Syndergaard in Game 2. On to Chicago, where DeGrom will be next for the Chicago Cubs as the Mets take a commanding lead in the National League Championship Series. Welcome back to our MLB on TBS coverage. They're pumped here on the set. They feel as warm as can be after getting 2 wins to open up the series. This one by a final of 4-1. Welcome to the postseason show presented by the Lincoln Motor Company. Casey Stern, alongside my castmates Pedro Martinez, Gary Sheffield, and Dusty Baker. Another great game. The outcome to the Mets, the Cubs look to shift it back home. Game 3 coming up on Tuesday, 8 p.m. Eastern. Our coverage pregame from Wrigley begins at 7:30 Eastern time, getting you set for Game 3, where the Cubs have a hill to climb. Let's talk about why that's the case. Citi Field was the site. Jake Arrieta came into this game allowing 3 runs in 1 inning. In July of 2010, that was the last time. 6 first-run innings all season before tonight. David Wright doubles to deep center. It gets Curtis Granderson home, and the Mets are on the board early. Wright, who only had 1 hit in the postseason leading up to that, gets his second. Both of those have driven in runs for the Mets, and that set the table again. Gary Sheffield for your former teammate Daniel Murphy, who goes deep again.
Who is this? Reggie Jackson? You know, they need to be taunting Reggie Jackson. You know,
he uses his legs like Reggie.
Yes, I mean, Arrieta made a great pitch down and in a breaking ball. That pitch is very hard to hit. Murphy went down and got it to show you how hot this guy is. That's one of the toughest pitches in baseball to hit right there.
And to keep it fair.
Twice off Kershaw, once off Greinke, once Lester, once Arrieta, and once more defense. Curtis Granderson in right field. Dusty, that's a beautiful catch.
Hey, that is a beautiful catch, because I was watching where he was playing, and I didn't think he was going to get back. But you know something? Hey, man, he can play. I mean, this guy's a center fielder playing right field.
That's right.
And Pedro, the Grandy man's been getting into it in every way possible here. He robs Chris Coughlin, gets some high fives, and then at the bottom of the 3rd, he gets into it on the base pass, stealing 3rd base here, Pedro.
Very important for the Mets, what this guy is doing. You know, we have been talking about Murphy and all the success and all that, but Granderson is not responsible for the success of the Mets as Murphy has.
This one gets Granderson home, not able to make the play as short as Javier Baez, and that means a very happy Jerry Seinfeld. And no soup for you off of that for all of the Cubs against Thor, who was just terrific, Pedro.
Thor, like I expected. I expected this kid to be overpowering. He was. Probably got a little fatigue towards the end, but show me that this kid is special. 6
strikeouts through 3 innings, 4 of those right there. Then we go to the 6th inning. Wild pitch, Dexter Fowler gets to second base. You talked about in the pregame, Pedro, when he gets on base, good things happen, and they do here for Chris Bryant.
Yeah, absolutely. You know, when you get guys in scoring position, this guy comes through, especially with 2 outs. He gets the big RBI. He was first and second in the major leagues with, you know, driving those runs in. Those are important runs. That's going to show up later on in this series.
And Fowler got on twice tonight.
Absolutely.
John Neese comes in, pitches well. Addison Reed, then Clippard. Normal bullpen work for the Mets, and then Jeurys Familia, who has been just absolutely fantastic. You talk about, Pedro, guys who have gone under the radar. You mentioned Granderson. I think Familia, the same story.
Familia, the same story, and I think it's not just Familia, Granderson, and Murphy. It's everything going right for the Mets. Everything is clicking for the Mets. Very rare you see that everything goes right for one team at once. And defense, pitching, offense, everything is going right for the Mets.
Yesterday, Joe Madden said things would have been better without Harvey. Here's what he had to say after the loss tonight.
Joe, given how good Jake's been for the last 4 months, how surprising is it to see you guys down 3-0 that quick?
It's not happened really in the recent past. They got on us very quickly, good at-bats. The top 3 guys culminated with the home run, obviously. That was the 3-run inning, held up pretty well for them throughout the entire game. Even after that, Jake wasn't as sharp as he can be, but he definitely held serve. But the ambush early got us. And then you got to give a lot of credit to their young pitcher. Syndergaard really was very good today also.
How do you feel going into these 3 games at Wrigley?
We're looking for several one-game winning streaks. And that'd be kind of nice. Listen, it's never going to be easy this time of the year. They are good. We know that. We're also very good. We'll just have to string together some more at-bats. So the home run is a big part of our offense. They kind of negated that a bit here. But, you just got to turn the page, move it along. We're all about one-game winning streaks. Very seriously, I really preach daily the one-day-at-a-time approach. I know it's psychobabble 101, but it actually works. So all I'm concerned about is the next game. DeGrom's very good. But we were very good also at the plate. I have a lot of confidence in our players and our hitters, and I'm really eager to get to the next game.
All right, so there's Joe Madden, and he talked about the need for the home run. The Cubs 7 for 34 with runners in scoring position so far in the postseason. Meanwhile, on the other side, they talked during the broadcast a number of times about Daniel Murphy. 5 home runs now in the postseason for the New York Mets, tying a record Mike Piazza set. Murphy in 7 games, Piazza over 20. And guys, he's doing it off the best pitchers. And Dusty, as a guy who knew what it took to go get those hits you needed off those big aces, how impressed have you been that a guy like Murphy, not much postseason experience, has been this good against these aces?
Well, you know something, everybody starts out with no post-game experience. No post-game experience. You start from 0. The thing about him is he's hitting left-handers, right-handers, hitting the ball to left field, hitting the ball, and he's that's the first ball he pulled foul, tonight that I can remember. I mean, this guy has been unbelievable, his concentration level, and before the game, he was talking to Chef, and he says he's just having fun.
Yeah, that's exactly right. The thing was, he must have forgot we was teammates. I just went up to him and said, man, I don't even know if I want to shake your hand and mess something up. And he said, no, shake my hand. Isn't this fun? And I said, that put everything in perspective for me, and that's why this guy's having success.
Well, I'm extremely happy for him. It couldn't happen to a better guy, especially going into his free agency year. I love what's happening with him. I hope he continues to do that, and hopefully he will become a free agent after a World Series so that the Mets do something with him.
Doing it at the right time.
I know my hitters here on this set know the adjustment, the cat and mouse game. It's very important, sometimes within a game or within a series. And David Wright had a big hit to set up the Murphy home run. Let's go back, though, Chef, to what he wasn't doing right. 1 hit in the postseason coming into this game. Take us through what you were watching specifically with his swing and whether or not you think maybe that back might be an issue for him.
Well, first I thought it was his back. I said, let me give it some time and watch him over and over. And every time I watch him swing, I just see this uppercut. His hands are too low, and his hips are flying open, and he's landing soft, but his hips are firing too quick. And when that happens, your hands drop, and now to get a proper swing, you got to go with an uppercut. So you see, he's tied up. He can't release the swing because he don't have nothing behind him. I watched this guy for a full year, and I know where his strengths are. His strengths are the right center field. And when he has that swing going, he's a dangerous man. But I tell you what, if you watch him when he on the right side of it, and he's doing it right with his hands, it's loaded, and his hips is firing, and all you just got to do is look at the torso. When you look at now, and you look at his hands in a firing position, see they go up? Now his torso is working. He don't realize it, but it's working, it's firing, and by the time his hands come through the zone, now you're going to see pop. Come off the bat, it's a level swing. Now you see him finishing the swing, and he's the one ignited the offense tonight, which got Daniel Murphy going with the home run.
And his barrel stays above the knob.
It stays above the knob.
Exactly.
You can finish your swing, and that ball will jump off of there.
You take a look now at both.
You just look at the 2 screens. You look at the one on the left. His hands are dropping. His hips are flying open. And the one on the right, this is the one he hit the double to get the RBI. And you can see the difference already. On the left, he's already going. On the right, he's behind the baseball, and you see a level swing. And that's the David Wright I know.
And see, the thing about it is, as a young hitter, you go like, oh, I got it. I'm 0 for 4 that night, and you wish you could play that night. Then as you become more accomplished, then you go like 0 for 2. And then you go 0 for 1, and then, okay, I can make the adjustment. And then when you get very accomplished, you can go swing the swing almost. You'll foul a ball off over here, and you can make it, the adjustment immediately without overthinking.
We looked at in the pregame talking about the confidence of Noah Syndergaard. And when you talked about Thor Pedro, you talked about even though it was out of the bullpen, That one inning that he got, the confidence and bravado you come into this game with, then you get 3 runs early. What did you see from Syndergaard with the stuff and the efficiency and command of it early in this game?
I'll tell you what, I didn't need to see more than I saw in that inning. And after that inning, it was like a carryover to this game. This kid came over firing, keeping the ball low, didn't have to bother to manipulate the sinker too much. The ball was moving all over, really low and well located. I figured if this kid did that for this game, he was gonna have success, and he did it today effectively, quickly, and by the 6th inning, when he was about to get tired, he finally got some help from the bullpen.
But I told you before the game, I said, I want to see if this guy is throwing the ball downhill. It's going to be a long night for these guys. He ran out of gas because of the innings he pitched a couple days before, and he was pitching on short rest. But for the most part, everything was downhill, like Pedro said. He didn't have to manipulate the sinker. It was working on its own.
Now, why is the downward plane, Dusty, from a guy that's that tall? Where is it explained to the viewer? Why is it so difficult to kind of pick up when it's coming in that downward plane?
Well, because you got to get on the same level as the ball sooner or later, or else you're going to pop it up or you're going to hit it in the ground. Now, a shorter pitcher, he's throwing at your level.
Yes.
The guy, he's on the mound. He's already 6'6". Now it makes him like 7'2". You know what I mean? You know, so
no, I don't know what you mean, Dusty.
I'm sorry, man. I'm sorry. And so he's throwing like straight down, and you have to time that ball and stay on the plane of that ball, and you don't have very much time to do it.
And trying to get on top of it.
Exactly.
But when a guy's that tall, it's almost difficult, almost impossible, I would say, just to get on top of that ball. Even if it's down, it's going to look like it's going in the dirt and it's going to rise back up.
Let's talk about 0-2. Pedro, you were in a series, obviously, where you're down 0-3. Team comes back. What do you need to see from this club when you're on that plane? What's the mojo got to be? What do you expect from yourself and from your teammates as you fly home to Chicago?
Well, you don't worry too much about the things that went on in this game in the plane. But once you get to Chicago, they have the best probably person to call in that group and make them aware of the situation. Also, you have to have the leaders of the team step up and pretty much just say, hey guys, it's time for us to click and do something different, because so far we haven't done it, and they have to step up and do something different than they have been doing, and try not to swing and miss as much as they have so far in this series.
Well, I mean, back on the plane, you just go back and you know what's in front of you. You can't get over, emphasize what's going on. We know what's going on. The bottom line is you got to have that veteran guy to go to the young guys and say, look, hey, we're going to be okay. Let's just get them at home. Go home, get you some rest. We'll come back and win the next game.
I was just going to ask you about that. Dusty, you've got Schwarber and Bryant and Baez. One kid after another with the Cubs that have never been here before.
Right.
How much do the veterans, and there aren't many, but you've got guys like Lester, you've got David Ross, guys who have been there. As a teammate, would you go up to some of those kids and say anything? And then take me through as a manager what you do.
Well, the thing I'd go up and tell the guys, hey, man, it's okay to get down, but just don't stay down. I mean, that's the key.
Yeah.
And also the fact that, hey, we've lost 2 in a row sometime during the course of the year. And so now we're trying to win 1 to make it 2-1, and then you make it 2-2, and now you're back to even. And then it gets to, now you're playing the best 2 out of 3. And the thing about it is you take one day at a time, and you get back, and you just slow walk them, and don't panic. That's the key
right.
thing. Don't listen to the radio. Don't look at TV. Don't look at any of the negatives that are out there that are surrounding you. Let's come together as a group. Stay positive, stay focused, and stay faithful.
And you want to see that from your manager and from the coaching staff, right, guys?
Very important. Exactly. And the players.
Very important.
And the players.
You want to see guys like Lester and Ross explain to them what we have been through before. Chef has been there. I have been there. Lester has been there. Everybody that has a little bit of experience can actually have a private time as a team. They can kick away the coaches, kick away the trainers, and have their own time and talk what they want to do between them.
All right, let's find out what you want to do at home as we find out the voting for the Who's Your Daddy. So you've got Syndergaard, Murphy, Granderson, and Wright. 4 good options.
Yes.
We'll find out who is the daddy. You can vote on Twitter.
It's all Mets. Everything is clicking for the Mets.
Yeah, but I'm trying to figure out which one you look like the most.
We'll find out. We get a lot of close
They're
calls.
gonna have 32 teams.
Gentlemen, in the postseason, we go back not 32, but we go back 30-year anniversary on one of the most controversial calls ever from Game 6 of the World Series. Do you remember the name Don Denkinger?
The City Double Cash Card comes in very handy with cash back twice on purchases. Earn once when you buy and again as you pay. That's cash back now and cash back again later. It's cash back deja vu. The City Double Cash Card, the only card that lets you earn cash back twice on every purchase, with 1% when you buy and 1% as you pay. With 2 ways to earn, it makes a lot of other cards seem one-sided.
When you booked this trip, you didn't know we had over 11,000 local activities listed on our app, or that you could book them right from your phone. A few weeks ago, you still didn't know if you were going to go. Now the only thing you don't know is why it took you so long to come here. Expedia, technology that connects you to the people and places that matter.
I've won over $29,000 on FanDuel. Nothing special about me. The difference is that I played and they didn't.
He played 1 week fantasy football on FanDuel, where over 1.2 million people have won money.
If you think it can't be you, it can be you.
Choose a 1-week league, pick your team, and win. Leagues start from $1 and there's no season-long commitment.
Every week I can beat my buddies on FanDuel. Every single week I can win money on FanDuel.
Try FanDuel today. We'll match your first deposit up to $200. Go to FanDuel.com and enter promo code BACKED.
Every fight needs a hero. But we've got these guys.
Let's go save the day.
Magic is real.
Nobody panic!
The Librarians, season premiere November 1st at 8 on TNT.
Somehow or other, I'm connected to these people.
The postseason show live from New York on TBS is brought to you by the Lincoln Motor Company.
Like most controversial replays and issues that happen in just a second, they happen for a moment. We talk about them for a long time. But what happened in Game 6 of the '85 World Series, a little bit different, 30 years and counting, that we've discussed Don Denkinger. It's one of the reasons why we have instant replay at the level we have it now in Major League Baseball. Yet still today it's a story. Why? Matt Weiner has more.
They played in the heart of the 80s, in a year of U.S.-Soviet summits, when a song entitled "We Are the World" was bringing people together for a common cause, and a spectacular NBA career was just taking flight. They played in the heart of America, 2 baseball teams separated by 240 miles of Interstate 70. St. Louis, home of the fabled Cardinals and their 9 World Series titles, facing Kansas City, whose upstart Royals were seeking a crown of their own. A regional rivalry seizing the national spotlight. It was not only a World Series, it was the Missouri State Championship.
They were the 2 best teams, there was no question about it. Turned out to be a very controversial World Series and one that people remember.
30 years ago, as the 1985 World Series unfolded, these men stood, sat, and crouched around the diamond. Jim Sundberg, the veteran Royals Gold Glove catcher. Ozzie Smith, the Cardinal shortstop known as the Wizard, already redefining the position with his unique artistry. In the broadcast booth, Al Michaels and Jim Palmer. And adjudicating this World Series, an umpire with 17 years of experience in the American League, Don Denkinger. Off the bat, Hall of Famer Ozzie Smith and the Cards grabbed the early lead, winning 3 of the first 4.
We knew that being up 3-1 meant nothing because it could change on one pitch, one hit. We kept our nose to the grindstone and kept working hard, but they were working hard too. We knew that their pitching was going to be very, very tough.
Danny Jackson went out that night and really slammed the door on the Cardinals. It sent us back home.
And Kansas City, here we come. And this series may be just heating up.
Of course, you'd like to finish the job at your place, but, you know, that wasn't the case.
To have gone from almost eliminated to now having a chance and being home. I mean, you know, everybody knows that if you can win the 6th game at home, then everything's up for grabs on the 7th game.
As Game 6 progressed, a pitcher's duel unfolded between Danny Cox and Charlie Leibrandt.
They have both been brilliant. The game is scoreless. 5 perfect innings for Charlie Leibrandt.
That 6th game was electrifying.
Scoreless through 7, Brian Harper, with 2 outs in the top of the 8th, put the Cards on the board.
Into center for a base hit, and the Cardinals take the lead.
Then in the bottom of the 9th and on the brink of elimination, the Royals' George Orta stepped up to the plate.
When Orta leads off, I mean, there is this anticipation, there is this excitement.
Daly departs. Herzog wants Worrell.
In the stadium, it was very loud.
It is bedlam. I mean, it is craziness.
The Cardinals 3 outs away from giving Whitey Herzog a 2nd World Championship in 4 seasons.
We got late in the game there and had the one call that I think really changed it all for us.
Little squibber to the right side. Worrell races over to cover. The throw doesn't get him.
I did not doubt that that play was called correctly.
Got to the bag and an argument here, and here comes Herzog.
Whitey Herzog came out. He said, "Don, I think you missed it." I said, "Whitey, I don't believe I did."
Eckersley tried to move into position, and because the throw was behind Morrell and he had to reach, Orta kind of got in the way of his view.
I moved closer to the line and lost all of peripheral vision. I looked up, saw him catch it, looked down, saw his foot on the base, and I called him safe.
We knew right away that the call had been missed, and we just hoped that somebody would step up and say, hey, I had a better angle of it and the guy's out. But, you know, that wasn't the case.
Looks like he's out. Oh, yes. Right on top of the bag. I don't think there's any doubt about it.
I don't think at that point the crowd necessarily knew that the umpire had made the wrong call.
Just that matter of time of having to look up to see him catch it and look down cost me getting it correct.
It had a lot to do with the outcome of the game, and from that point, things kind of imploded.
He pops it up, and Clark doesn't know where he is. And can't make the play. That gets away from Porter, and the runners move up.
In all of sports, there are momentum shifters that occur, and this was one for us.
And that's a looper hitting the right field for a base hit. Here comes Sunburn. Here's the throw. He scores. We go to a 7.
Game 7. We're going to Game 7. Wow.
If you watch baseball, then you know that there's always a carryover.
With a failed opportunity to close the series, the Cardinals went to a Game 7, and Don Dinkinger again would be at the heart of it.
I knew what was ahead of me from the standpoint I was working home plate. It's as big a job as you can ever get when it's the 7th game of World Series.
When the lineup card is being brought out for Game 7, you know, this is already the jawing is going to start.
When certain pitches are not called that you feel are strikes that are not called strikes, you feel you're being wronged.
Whitey Herzog screaming at Don Dinkinger, and I think it was the 3-1 pitch to Lonnie Smith that he's talking about.
Balboni is going, and the pitch is again drilled to left field, hooking down the line, and bases loaded. Balboni's ground balls keep finding the hole. Lines it to left field. That will score Sunburn 6-7. Balboni will come in to score. Saberhagen running all the way. 9-0. Softly hit, and it's 11-0 as this massacre goes on.
By the time we got to the 5th inning, it was 11-0, and it just all crumbled for them.
They are so angry and so frustrated. But the Cardinals just don't know what to do right now. 3-2 the count. Andujar
Angry with Dinkinger.
They all knew that they were in trouble, and it was much easier to blame it on me than their own pitchers.
Things are really getting very heated now, and out of the dugout they come. Whitey's gone.
It was a complete unraveling.
And Andujar's thrown out of the game, and they better get him out of there. It's been a brutal night.
We played hard, we deserved to win it, and we won it.
To Motley for the title.
The call at first base did not cost the Cardinals the series. It's the way the Cardinals played.
We didn't make the plays when we had to make the plays.
Dankinger didn't get the call right, but he was a very, very good umpire.
Tell me any umpire who hasn't made a bad call. You know, it's unfair, but that's what the nature of sports is.
23 years after the play that helped shape a World Series, Major League Baseball implemented instant replay.
We're in this modern era of seeing replays of the ones that are challenged. 50% are overturned. So that tells you it's hard to umpire.
When you sign on to officiate, you can only do the very best that you can.
That was 30 years ago, and it was one of the reunions. Whitey even invited Don Dinkinger back, you know. So I think that's all been put behind us now.
I've been back to St. Louis, and they treated me outstanding.
St. Louis would wait more than 20 years to capture elusive title number 10, while the Royals would go 29 years before even reaching the postseason again. And Don Dinkinger would umpire in the major leagues for 13 more seasons.
There's nobody that feels worse than the umpire himself, and that would be me, because I missed the call. It's sad that it turned out the way it did. I'm sorry. You know, it's all part of baseball, but you know what? It's still a great game.
You know, it's unbelievable to think about the difference in the game today. I'm just reading the statistics. 5 challenges at first base this season, 3 overturned. Regular season, Dusty, 437 plays challenged, 278 overturned. That's 2/3. Is it fair that so many still maybe look back and say that Don Dinkinger caused a World Series to go another way?
Well, I don't think it's fair. It's unfair because, hey, most people don't even remember that happening. You know what I mean? And, you know, when you see things like this, it brings back the memory of the people that were there, and mostly the players. And, you know, that's the thing. And so, I mean, that is a very, very hard thing to do, to be an umpire. I mean, personally, I wouldn't want to be an umpire.
Well, I'm just glad to see that he's owning it. And when you own it, players respect that, whether you're on the good end of it or the bad end of it. You know, the fact that he stood up and owned it, you know, the Cardinals forgave him. I'm glad they brought him back, and it's all forgiven.
Well, I have to pretty much feel the same way when it comes to that. We're all humans. After all, we're all humans. They have a job to do. We all messed up. You're gonna tell me that today, because I'm sitting here and I'm not playing the game. I don't know. I blew up some games. I did it bad sometimes. So we have to feel for the umpires as well. And you know, now with the replay, even with the replay, sometimes we mess up.
They still
some
get it
calls.
wrong. Yeah.
Yeah. So why not an umpire? An umpire is a human being like every other. And whoever hasn't made a mistake, cast a stone.
You know, I think the Jim Joyce situation with Armando Galarraga is the one where I think a lot of people realize the vulnerability of an umpire, where you could tell how heartbroken Jim was. An umpire doesn't want to sit there and take a perfect game away from a player, but that is not easy in that quick snap of a finger to make that kind of a judgment. So hopefully, and we know replay needs some tweaking, hopefully it continues to progress moving forward. As we progress moving forward, we continue with much, much more MLB on TBS coverage, and we tell you, you should be sharing your play ball moments on Twitter and Instagram. All you have to do is use the hashtag playball for a chance to have them appear on MLB's social channels. On this channel on TBS, another big night for Daniel Murphy. The Mets 2-0 in the NLCS. We're back with more.
Go ahead and preach, brother.
When stories come alive,
they called him into this world.
Sherlock Holmes, I love you.
They'll need every trick in the book
Divide and conquer.
to save the world.
If you want to live, follow me. Can't help but notice you're not following.
These
people are librarians just as much as you are.
The Librarians, season premiere November 1st at 8.
Use your words. This is Gordon. Downtown for a sales call. West Side for a presentation. Meeting after meeting. That's why Gordon stops at Exxon and Mobil for fuels that help his engine run cleaner, smoother, and with better fuel economy. So he can make it to the meeting that matters most. Gordon is energy. Exxon and Mobil. Energy lives here. Exxon and Mobil are proud Plenty partners. Lots of points, lots of places, one rewards program.
Some might call us old-fashioned for being the only distillery in America that makes its own barrels. For making our own charcoal and taste testing every batch of whiskey until it's perfect. Of course, anyone who calls us old-fashioned won't hear an argument from us. We know how to take a compliment. Jack Daniels, the way it was is the way it is.
When I act, if I do this, or if I do this, I'm totally in control. I don't have PBA, but if you're someone with pseudobulbar affect, you don't always get to choose. PBA causes frequent outbursts of uncontrollable crying or laughing in people with brain injuries or certain neurologic conditions. But PBA is treatable. Ask your doctor or go to pbafacts.com.
After we're all inside for a while, it gets pretty stuffy.
When Dad opens up the window, it's the first thing he does.
The Tobin stance.
But when we open up the windows, you can see the dust floating around. There's dog here.
Pollen.
More work.
Wow.
What's this? Swiffer Sweeper.
Swiffer Dusters. Removes up to 70% of dust and allergens. Stays on there like glue.
Can't do that with the other broom. Wow, I love it.
The Tobin stance.
That is totally what it is.
All right, this date we flash back 1977. Reggie Jackson, 3 ABs, 3 consecutive pitches, Dusty Baker.
Well, so much for getting deep in the count and taking the first pitch.
That's an ambush, right?
Yeah, that's called ambush and ambush.
3 times.
That's the hat trick. Game 3 coming up tomorrow in the ALCS. Should be a dandy. It's been quite a scene up at the Rogers Center. Marcus Stroman, who's been terrific so far in the postseason after being injured most of the year, goes up against Johnny Cueto. Speaking of Johnny Cueto, take a listen to what he had to say about our own Hall of Famer, Pedro Martinez.
Johnny, Pedro Martinez is a guy that I know you've talked about is kind of looking up to him, and he's a big game pitcher. Are there any qualities in Pedro that you try to emulate yourself?
Bueno, no dice que somos diferentes pitchers, pero es como él dice, y a mí me gusta cuando Pedro pichaba, pero es así mismo, ahí hay que demostrar todo lo que uno tenga.
Very different styles of pitching, but he is somebody that he's always looked up to because he is a big game pitcher. And, you know, and that's what he needs to do. He needs to step up in these type of situations and perform for his club.
Pedro, your reaction to hearing that from Johnny Cueto, I saw you smiling. Obviously, that's got to mean a lot to you hearing that from him.
It does. It means a lot to be recognized by your peers as someone, you know, that actually has an aura during the big games, and Cueto is no exception. I think Cueto is a perfect guy right now for the Kansas City Royals. I hope that Cueto maintains that balance that he showed in the last game, and the location, and more important than anything, the tempo he kept between pitches. I love that rhythm he got into during the game. I love the way he attacked the strike zone, how intensive it was towards the Houston hitters, and I hope he continues to do that because he's the one that's going to lift up the Kansas City Royals.
Well, hey, Johnny Cueto, when he's sharp, he can throw that ball wherever he wants to throw it, and he can change speeds, he can make it move in or out, and you know, he's a complete pitcher. He knows when to come upstairs, and then he can go right back downstairs. But the thing about Johnny Cueto that you know, is kind of perplexing to me is that he can speak English.
Oh, so he's trying to fool everybody. I don't see.
Me no English.
Are you telling me you had another player who did that? I believe.
Yes.
I can't remember what his name was.
Dusty, you threw him under the bus.
Yeah, and Johnny, if you listening, you know what I'm talking about.
Let's go to Marcus Stroman, because this is a great story, Chef. Here's a guy injured most of the year. He kept saying, I'm going to fight my way back. 4-0 with a 1.6-something ERA at the end of the season. Comes in, he's been good in the postseason. What's impressed you most about a kid who's coming up here and coming through in his first opportunity?
Just the fact that he came back from a rough injury. I mean, you know, anytime you have an injury like this, you see the push off here, the breaking stuff, everything is sharp like he never missed any time. This is a bulldog. I call him the little Flash Gordon. He reminds me of him. This guy he has grit to him. He don't care if it's a right-hander or left-hander. He goes out and he competes, and that's what I love about this kid.
I love the fact that he's not intimidated because of the injury. I know he could play, you know, a role in his mind, because once you have an injury in one of your legs, reflects on your arm, and he's not intimidated by that. He's willing to leave it all out there. His heart is the most impressive thing about everything Stroman has.
And the intelligence. Going and fighting for that degree at Duke. We're talking about a guy, really smart kid and very, very humble, despite the fact he's got a little bit of almost like a Jake Peavy to him in terms of the enthusiam that he's bringing to the table.
Plus he has a big old daddy that keeps him humble.
We've got one of those on this set.
Oh, that's right.
It's a good segue, because it's time to find out the voting from you at home on the Who's Your Daddy poll. Noah Syndergaard, Thor in the lead.
Leading the pack.
We'll find out if he gets the nod. We know the Mets did in games 1 and 2. More MLB on TBS postseason show coverage from Citi Field.
This is the sound of a car engine. Hidden within is damaging surface wear, up to 75% of which happens during warm-up. But new Castrol GTX Magnatec has intelligent molecules that cling, providing an extra layer of protection from the start. New Castrol GTX Magnatec. Instant protection from the moment you start.
So how did you get this gold PS4?
So last week I ran into this guy, Dimitri Two Hands. He used to run with the mob. Anyway, his goons boosted some bullion from the Kemerov vault. But the bars are marked, so they had to melt them down. Now it's in a cookhouse. You know the right guys and have the dinero. People are dipping all sorts of stuff in it. That's how.
Really? Because I heard that you can only win it at Taco Bell.
Grab a Quesarito or Volcano Quesarito Big Box for a chance to win a limited edition gold PS4 bundle. There's a winner every 10 minutes.
A Belvedere martini.
Of course.
Shaken, not stirred. Excellent choice, Mr. Bond.
I'm a covert operative in the FBI. You will not silence me.
College basketball's grandest stage awaits.
The championship game.
We'll have it on TBS. The moments they talk about for a lifetime.
I think they just did a good job of capitalizing when the opportunity was there. And then, you know, Noah threw the ball extremely well, kept us off balance for the most of the night offensively. You know, and I put us in a pretty big hole there in the first, and it was just one that was a little too hard to overcome tonight.
No, we're gonna stick with our game plan. You know, we just need to. You know, we're confident in ourselves. That's the big part of that. You know, we're not going to lose confidence in ourselves, and we're not going to panic. You know, that's the big thing. It's, you know, it's hard to look at it that we're down 2 games. It's, you know, we need to go out and focus on winning the next game. That's our mindset.
Jake Arrieta talked about being down early, 3-0. Well, that lead stayed where it was because of our Lincoln Motor Company play of the night. And it's Curtis Granderson, and you said when you watched this, a center fielder playing right field, Chip.
Yeah, absolutely. This is a tough right field to play. It seemed like this guy had the right gauge on this ball. He got to the fence. He knew where he was at, and he leaped for it, and he made a great catch.
It is our play of the night presented by the Lincoln Motor Company. Chris Coughlin can't believe it. They're down 2-0, but now back to Chicago. It'll be a ruckus scene at Wrigley Field. When we come back, it's always a scene here, and pictures are present. Who's your daddy? The answer's next.
Looks like we made it. Nothing's gonna tear us apart. We keep it in the family, 'cause that's the way it's supposed to be. Looks like we made it. It's the final countdown. The final countdown.
If you're the band Europe, you love a final countdown. It's what you do. If you want to save 15% or more on car insurance, you switch to Geico. It's what you do.
I built my business with passion, but I keep it growing by making every dollar count. That's why I have the Spark Cash Card from Capital One. I earn unlimited 2% cash back on everything I buy for my studio. And that unlimited 2% cash back from Spark means thousands of dollars each year going back into my business. And that's huge for my bottom line. What's in your wallet?
More data means more freedom to do whatever. That's why AT&T is giving you 50% more data. That's 15 gigs of data for the price of 10. Because the more data you have, the better. And right now, at AT&T, get $300 credit for every line you switch when you trade in a smartphone and buy any smartphone on AT&T Next.
Hey, you know what time it is? Postseason time. That means time to get your favorite team's gear at MLB.com shop. Official jerseys, hats, t-shirts, we got them. Official bats and balls, check. Real deal postseason memorabilia, you know it. What do you want? Stuff for him, stuff for her, stuff for the kids. We got it. Get your piece of the postseason right here at MLB.com shop and get shopping.
The Postseason Show live from New York on TBS is brought to you by the Lincoln Motor Company.
All right, our awards presentation ending the night is coming up in just a second, but one of the things I love about getting to know the three of you, all of you during your careers and afters involved in the community and doing things for people. And Dusty, you've got something along the lines of that with your book, so tell us about it.
Well, yeah, this guy talked me into writing a book, and it's called Kiss the Sky. And my weekend in Monterey at the greatest concert ever with Jimi Hendrix, Otis Redding, Big Mama Cass, Janis Joplin, and music that changed my life. And the book is going to benefit. Well, you can find it on
Amazon?
Amazon, I'm sorry. You can find it on Amazon, and it's benefiting.
You can hire me as your agent if you want.
Yeah, you got it, brother. But it's benefiting the Wellness Center in Santa Cruz and also the Bilingual Christian Center in Sacramento.
Groovy, groovy.
Groovy, groovy.
Groovy, groovy. All right, speaking of with the grooving, maybe some wine. Who gets the honors tonight, Dusty?
Well, tonight the honor goes to Curtis Granderson. Curtis Granderson, because, man, this guy is playing some ball. He's 1 for 3 tonight, 2 stolen bases, 2 runs scored, and made an outstanding catch. It changed the momentum because
he deserved it.
Oh, yeah, Coughlin couldn't believe when he caught that ball, and who knows what might have happened after that. But sometimes defense can pick up your whole team just like offense can pick up your whole team. So, Curtis Granderson, you are the recipient of the Baker family wine.
All right, now the Cubs,
Yes,
the
sir.
Cubs are looking to break a bad streak of 2 straight losses. We're breaking one here because there was animosity, I'm sure, fueled our way from Daniel Murphy's family that he's breaking all these records, hitting all the home runs, and nobody gave him anything on the set. So you want to change that tonight?
Well, I talked to David Wright. I said, I'm picking you today. And he started him out on the right foot. He got the double. He started the rally with Daniel Murphy. Like he's been doing the whole series, he had to top him with the big home run and gave him the 3-run lead against Arrieta. That was huge to get them extra 2 runs because, man, that settled this whole place down, and they got behind him, and they just rallied from there.
Twice off of Kershaw.
Yes.
Once Greinke, once Lester, once Arrieta.
That's
crazy.
Reggie Jackson
That's
territory
crazy.
and Barry Bonds.
That's crazy.
That's amazing. So, Daniel Murphy, I'm going to go with you. Sorry, David Wright. I got to go with Daniel Murphy, man. Enjoy your cigar, buddy.
They can share. They can share.
Yeah,
They're good buddies.
it's enough to go around.
Oh, yeah. They can share that.
All right. We always share with you pretty pictures and pretty interesting stuff down on the end. It's time to find out who's your daddy.
I mean, what can I say? Just tip my hat and call the Yankees my daddy. Well, today I'm going to pick a much better looking daddy than the Yankees. No disrespect to you, Jeff. You and that team, but I'm going to pick a better looking guy. My guy for tonight is Thor! Thor actually showed me a lot tonight. I'm extremely happy to see this kid do what he did. And my God, what a future the Mets have in all those arms.
He looks 18.
Yeah, he looks 18, but behave on top of the mound like an old goat. That boy showed me something. So, Thor, you get to be my daddy for today. And Thor gets to get the picture too.
You look like Gary Coleman in the picture.
Was that pigtail?
All right, Thor, enjoy Thor.
You had 32 teeth there too?
Oh yeah, all grown up, all right there.
Well, Dusty, I heard you got a blanket during the game today.
Yeah,
You were
I got a
outside.
blanket.
Yeah.
Hey, man, people were so nice to me, man, or maybe I just look cold. I mean, one guy bought me a hamburger when I was standing in line over there, and the lady gave me her blanket, and I was like, she goes, you signed my autograph the other day, you know, you look kind of cold. Here's my blanket. And then at the end.
You took it.
Yes, I did.
We'll see you in Chicago.
She offered it to me.
You took an old lady. You took an old lady's blanket.
She wasn't an old lady.
Man.
Okay.
We will see you in Chicago for Game 3 with that guy right there.
All bundled up and still taking the blanket.
He had a thin waist.
Oh, yeah, Grizzly Baker.
Hey, I'm going to teach you how to be
All right, boys, you ready to travel?
Yes, we are.
We're taking it on the
We're going
road.
to Chicago.
MLB on TBS's coverage of the NLCS. Have a good night.
All right.